shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned, because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody, welcome. It's so great to have all of you tune us in and turn us on. And what I love about these shows, the 2 hours we're going to do for you, is we're going to bring to you conversations about what is happening, what people like Tom Paladino, what he is doing to literally shatter the myth of how healing should happen. And this is something, and let me just say this to you all. One of the things you learn if you're me and you go along your path and you've never had anything happen to you from a physical illness point of view, you're just rolling along and you're physically fit, but you see people around you, they're not doing so well. And you're like, well, why aren't they doing so well? And then one day, out of nowhere, something happens to change that. If you're me and you're doing a show, started as Cross-Busting, then the Dr. Pat Show, then what you have available to you is a forum to learn. And when you learn, you meet people like Tom Paladino. And he and I met a number of years ago, and you're going to hear what he's created, but you're also going to hear the evolution of what he's created. Now, when we talk about energy and when we talk about Tom, and you go back and you look at his research, which he's going to talk a little bit about today, because it's really interesting to see how people get from where they were to where they are. But when you look at what's happening in the world, whether you're looking at the pandemic, I had him on the show previously when we were talking about Lyme disease, and we were talking about energy, we were talking about frequency, we were talking about the electromagnetic spectrum, which we now know, everybody. Just want to say this is a medical statement and has been tested. We now know about the power of energy medicine to eradicate so many things. You can actually see one of the Lyme co-infections, one of the little parasites, you can see with the machine what happens. Today's show is to bring you up to date. It's not just about up to date to where we are, because Tom has been breaking the sound barrier on this, you name it, whether it's herpes virus, whether it's another pathogen, whether it's, I mean, look at the history, because this is when I met him, because I needed help. And Tom Paladino delivered. You're going to hear what he delivered, how he delivered it, why he's so passionate, and what it is now that is so much more than Dr. Oz making a statement that energy medicine was the next frontier. It's not the next frontier, it's the now frontier. Tom, it's great to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. Pleasure to be back. Thank you.
All right, let's take a journey back in time, just a little bit, to give people a little backdrop, because it doesn't matter who I've interviewed, there's always a passionate, heartfelt story behind it. There's always something that has driven us, you and me, to be here today. And it usually has been something that has affected us personally. What hit your heart? What got you pointed to be Tom Paladino and what you created and invented?
Thank you. I am a humanitarian. I want to help humanity. That's it. That's really the motivating force that I have. And I realize that there is certain technology that, if it's used in a global capacity, will help millions of people around the world. That's my driving force.
And you know, you and I are not much different. We just do it in different ways, right? You know, my come out of the gate kind of conversation is to do things like this, to create shows, then to create a network, right, then to bring messages, now to expand channels. But it changed, has it? For you and me, it's like never changed. I got this original crust busting. Let me see if I can get it without pulling stuff out here. I even think you were on my show when the show was named that. And the intention was to reach 1 million people in my first year, 2003, to help them live life full out. I was told by the network I was on, we did that in 6 months. Now, here we are today. I'm just warming up. How about you, Tom?
Exactly. I want to take this to global proportions. I concur with you. You know, if it's a good thing, why not propagate it?
So let's talk about the discovery. I want to know, and our listeners want to know, what the new and emerging science is. But see, it has its own journey. I know it does because I've been following you and you've helped me enormously. But here we are today. You've not given up. You've built up your power muscle around this. Your vision is kind of right in line with us. The only regret I have is I didn't wear pink today, and we could have been matching, but I did pull out my pink jacket. Energy is everything, isn't it, Tom? Tell us about the journey. Tell us about what we've created here.
You're right.
Oh, what you've created here, not me, you.
Energy is fundamental. You're right. And it's the cause of everything. And that's why I've devoted a career to scalar energy, which is the initial energy of the sun and the stars. We're not working with electricity. We're working with a much superior form of energy, scalar energy, what some people call 0-point energy. And I have developed scalar energy instruments that control scalar energy, that control 0-point energy. So I'm at the vanguard of this movement, if you will. This is a new and emerging science, and it offers incredible potential. This technology is going to change the course of history.
And you know, let's talk the mechanics of it too, because it makes so much sense to me. You know, I always love taking a trip back a little bit. I like to get a little trippy, and I like to go back to before we had cars, before we had, you know, I like to go back to civilization and how we actually survived, because people are like, you know, the question is, how did we survive? Do you think maybe some of the modalities people use? Do you think some of the energy healing things they use? Do you think maybe what they used, especially when you're talking about the radiant value of the sun? Do you think maybe those things worked so well, Tom, that we did not annihilate ourselves?
You're right. You're right. This notion of scalar energy or 0-point energy, various cultures have embraced this. Other terms would be prana, chi. Some people simply call it life force or sun energy. So civilizations have recognized that there is a primal force. And in some way they capture that, or they worked with it, obviously through nutrition, proper nutrition, and by not only a proper diet, but by incorporating this holistic practice. So what we're mentioning, even though it's a new and emerging science as far as application through instrumentation, you know, it's as old as the sun. This is starlight. This is sunlight.
Yeah. And I want to make sure everybody knows, as we're talking about this today, go check it out. You know, you could go to the website right now. One of the things I love to do is when I prep for a show, I love to look about what's there, but I also love to look about what people are saying. And, you know, when you look at what folks are saying, believe me, you're going to go here, you're going to look at whether it's addictive behavior, whether it's digestive, whether it's, you know, your fat metabolism, it doesn't matter. Natural. Go over here and watch what people are saying. What's the best website to send them to?
Scalarlight.com. That's our homepage.
And I want to spell it SCALAR, light.com. And when you go there are things you can do now. And that's what we want to say. We want to say that we're now in a world where Tom and I think we've come a long way to know that we've got to show up and provide you with things that you can use. Right, Tom? I mean, isn't that what gets you out of bed every day?
Yeah, sure. I'm goal driven. I want to see progress. And why am I so high on this technology? It's a step in the right direction for mankind. This technology will, again, serve to our benefit.
And I want to just tell everybody, go check, when you go to the website, I want you to watch the video there where Tom is explaining this, where this is explained. Okay, I'm going to hit you up for this when we come back from the break, because I love to talk about the science of things. Now, I'm not a science person. I didn't start this show as a science person. 6 months after starting the show, I came down with the mystery disease. So my questions come from all the questions I had, like every test I've ever taken that nobody could help me with, until I found a naturopath that understood energy medicine. When we come back, I want to talk with Tom about the harmonious convergence, as he says on his site. I love this. Harmonious convergence of science and spirituality. But more importantly, Dr. Oz, for you, what you said is like now. It's not only the future, but it's now. Tom Paladino joining me here today. When we come back, we're going to tell you more, but it's more than that. This is an invitation for everybody out there that's thinking, how do I get well? How do I handle this thing that's in my body? What can I do? We've got some answers for you today. Let's take a short break. Benny, Jacob, Olivia. Yes, it does take a village. We'll be right back with the show and Tom Paladino.
All clear.
This is so fun.
Do your ADHD tendencies get in the way of you doing what you intend to? Traditional strategies for getting things done may not work for you. You need solutions tailored for your unique brain. In Bonnie Minku's training membership program, Productivity Pathfinder, learn ADHD self-mastery step-by-step at your own pace in a supportive community with live online options each week. Learn more about Productivity Pathfinder at thrivewithadd.com.
All I could do.
Day-to-day living can be difficult in our world today. Most of us don't know how to live a peaceful, joy-filled existence. Learn how to break through these barriers and live a transformative life on Love and Light with me, Dr. Lisa. Every day living in peace. Every second and fourth Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. To work with Dr. Lisa, visit educationthroughengagement.com.
She is, and she.
Did you know that each Enneagram type has a different worldview, different patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving? They also have essential qualities that are unique to their type. Understanding this helps us develop more tolerance, respect, and appreciation for ourselves and others. Renee Siegel works with individuals, couples, families, and groups using the Enneagram to build better relationships as a tool in addiction recovery. Visit yourpurepotential.com for more info.
Have you been on life's roller coaster trying to figure out what to do next? Then join Greta, Lee, Yvonne in the Realm of Beings each Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Shake the dust off your wings and fly to the highest heights in your thoughts and actions. Express your greatness. Be a champion for yourself, and we'll see you there on Shifting Impressions Conversations.
Where would I call it? This is what I call our network. We are the new mainstream. That's what we're called.
Hi, I'm Laura Goldstein, and here's a Coffee with the Universe tip. It's no secret that anxiety and overwhelm are on the rise. While the tendency is to suppress these feelings, anxiety is really a messenger that's telling you something is off, very off. You might be shooting yourself and living a life based on someone else's expectations. Maybe you have trouble saying no, or maybe you're following the fearful voice in your head that demands you do more, be more in order to feel worthy. So see where you can make a few adjustments in what you're doing to get rid of the overwhelm and create more peace inside instead. To get more tips like this, tune into my Transformation Talk radio show called Coffee with the Universe. It's a live call-in show. I'd love to chat with you.
And right now, people are just hurting, Tom.
They're confused. It's been a tough 2 years.
Ready to come back?
Thank you, Mr. Benny. Thank goodness Benny's not confused. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Look, I met Tom. I heard about Tom, and he doesn't even know this. many, many years ago. And how did I hear about him? What was my first introduction? You know, you have to be bold in the world of healing. And you have to be bold to understand that what we need is available to us. That's what Tom has created, right? Scalar Energy and scalarlight.com. Go watch the video. When you think about what Tom Paladino has done and when he started to do it, like not yesterday, right? Like in the day, as Benny would say, back in the day when he started to do this, he started to take on the questions that people had. And here are some of the questions, and we're going to talk about it. And this is what people say. How can you transmute matter? How does that work? You know, how do you turn the ability to form our own nutrients? You know, how do you look at what we have already available to us and you watch and you witness, right? You witness in front of you the people that are using this and are changing. And I love transmutation. But more importantly, how do we understand this energy that is not bound by time or distance or even imagination in some ways? Right. And Tom, let's get down into it about that.
Okay.
Because energy doesn't have that. You know, think about Einstein. Don't think about what he did. Don't think about the math Einstein guy. Don't think about that guy. Think about the guy that has all these quotes that have nothing to do with what he's known for, right? Think about his conversations about imagination. Think about his conversations about energy. I want to talk to you about this. Here we are today, 24, 26 months, right? You've got to believe that what you've created is more important now than ever. You have to believe that. Do you?
I do. This technology, after this pandemic, hopefully this technology will be embraced because we need answers. Sure, that it's been a tough 2 years, as you have mentioned. And this new technology will solve many problems. That's the point of technology. It's to be used for the betterment of mankind. That's my entire goal in life, to see the advancement of mankind, humanity. And you spoke about transmutation. That's one of the functions of a scalar energy instrument. What do we mean by transmutation? Whereby you can change one molecular form, one physical form, into another physical form. And you could do that readily with a scalar energy instrument. What am I saying? My scalar energy instruments allow me to have control over molecular form. And in so doing, I can break down the molecular constitution, the molecular form of, say, a pathogen, a microbe, or a toxin. And I do that by way of the administration of scalar energy. It's not a chemical process. It's an informational process. So this is the new technology that we're going to use to address toxins and pathogens.
And you know what you've created, and you know, not to sound like a stalker right here or anything, but I've watched you from inception, so to speak. Not exactly, you were kind of ahead of the curve even when we met, I don't know how many years ago. But as I'm watching this, we now are at this place. And I'm going to say this because this is what we're doing. In about 3 months, our technology here that supports the network will be out running, and we will have more channels, additional channels. But we will be independent. Now, what do I mean? This show is being sent to Facebook. It's being sent to YouTube. But we cannot censor in today's world what you and I and the thousands of people that gave you reviews have benefited from. Do you know what I mean? And yes. So this is not the time for us to go quietly in the night. This is the time for us to get big out loud, like Harry Knudsen would say. Let's talk about what scalar energy is, scalar light. Let's talk about devices. Let's talk about sessions. Let's talk about it all, please.
Okay. So there is a science behind this. This is not a psychic event. I am working with scientific instruments. It's taken me years to build and perfect these scientific instruments. They are an engineering feat. And I do work with a brilliant engineer, by the way. And the long and short of it is, these are not instruments that control electricity, which is the stream of electrons. This is a different dimension, a scalar energy dimension. It has nothing to do with a stream of electrons, if you will. So I am accessing a different dimension, scalar energy. Some people call that the quantum dimension. And once you're in that other dimension, okay, it's a different physics book, so to speak. The laws that govern scalar energy are quite different than the laws that govern electromagnetic energy. So one of the things that I've been able to discover and then command is a scalar energy instrument will command molecular form, atomic form. In other words, scalar energy is the actual intelligence behind molecules, atoms. And with these instruments, I've perfected them so we can create what's beneficial. Actually create the molecular bonds of, say, a vitamin, the B vitamins, or we could assemble, say, an amino acid. Or then in reverse, we can disassemble what is harmful, a toxin, a bacterium, a virus. So my point is, with this new technology, we have command, we have consummate control over molecular form. We can create a molecule, assemble a molecule, or we can break down, we can disassemble a molecule. And we do that painlessly, easily, almost effortlessly, because we control that intelligence. Scalar energy is the intelligence behind a molecule.
Yeah. And what I love is you have made this available and accessible. And what I love about this is I'm so thrilled about how I've seen this evolve. And now people can look at specific programs, they could look at the energy, they could do things with you, they could do a 15-day free trial. I'm all about the free trials, folks. And you have really stepped up and have created something that was different from the last time I spoke with you, right? Yes. You've created something that makes this something for everyone, right? And I love the way you went through this, because we now know, and we are learning. You know how I know we're learning? Because all of the blockbuster movies actually have this element in it. We're now learning. It's like a movie that's even the name Parasite, right? Yeah. We now are learning that you can be clean and you can do this and you can do that. But for whatever reason, we have to take better help. And I want to ask you this question. Everything from detox to identifying very specific things in the body that need to be eradicated. Tell us about that, because that's really, for me, I know we're right there with energy medicine, but I'm talking about energy medicine and results. So let's talk results.
Right. And that's what it's all about, Dr. Pat. I'm a result-driven researcher. It's all about results. Talk is cheap, frankly. So if you go to my website, you'll read thousands of testimonies. None of those have been coerced or doctored. Those are real testimonies. I'm going to give you, for instance, just 2 weeks ago, I received another a documented case of the herpes virus. A gal had herpes for years.
Yeah.
Now, I worked with this person. I always work with people by way of their photograph, which is the quantum realm. And after a session of scalar energy, this woman took it upon herself to have a follow-up test, a diagnostic test. And that test result came back negative, no viral load. Now, I've done this thousands of times with people with various viral infections. The point I'm trying to make is this is a new science. It cannot be explained by Newtonian science. I want the audience to realize I work by way of photographs of people, which is the quantum realm. It's non-physical. I don't work with flesh and bone, so to speak. I work in the informational realm by way of photographs. And in so doing, by way of my laboratory, I'm able to detect, say, the herpes virus, shatter it, disassemble it as found on the photograph through the quantum realm, Ultimately, the results are if people feel better.
And this is what I'm talking about. When I went through this, Tom, I just want to tell people a little bit if I could. And then when we come back from break, I want to dig deeper into it. I work with women in addiction and recovery. I've been doing it for over 3 decades. And I have looked at the things that I know to work. I come from a family where pretty much I'm the only one alive at the moment that hasn't died from some version of addiction, alcoholism, or something like that, or hasn't taken their life. And along the way, you learn some things. And when I read the testimonials, just on that, just on what people are saying about that, right, it's got to be, for me, something that we have to figure out how to make super available. I mean, grateful to be living free of addictions. And by the way, I'm talking about drugs and alcohol, but let's just wait a minute. We are now so addicted to food that we don't even know what to do with ourselves, don't you think?
Right, exactly.
Right? We just don't know. I mean, it's like, oh, gee, I'd like to have a snack. No, let me go for the candy bar instead of like this other thing. But here's what I love about this. It doesn't matter, does it?
No, it doesn't, because energy is supreme. Energy is the cause. And we're no longer subject to many of these problems because we can overrule, energy is the driving force of the universe. So we put obviously the cause before the effect. And many people who come on to my program, they don't have to do anything. They just send me their photograph. Remember, I'm working with information intelligence. And the intelligence is supreme. And the intelligence reprograms the psyche. The intelligence reprograms the body. People, I want them to accept the healing, but they don't necessarily have to do anything. The energy is the driving force. The prime mover is scalar energy.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I want to tell you how you can learn more about this. And I wasn't kidding when I said free trial, but I'm going to have Tom explain the whole thing. You have to go to scalarlight.com. It's SCALAR light.com. And Jacob and Olivia are putting that website up all over the video version of this, I believe. When we come back, what if you're a crisis counselor? Will it work for you? What if you're that nurse? When we come back, I just want to read some of this for you so you get a sense of this. Tom Paladino joining me here today. I will tell you, I know for myself, if this was not in my life, if this was not a way for me to understand what it meant to heal, I know I wouldn't be here today. I know it. I just know it because medical science couldn't help me. You know, when you have what they call a mystery disease, you've gone through every test, which even diagnoses you as whether you're autistic or not. When you go through all of that, and then the answer is, hey, your cells stop working. Boy, you better have the gumption to look for something that does work. Stay tuned. We'll come back, tell you about my journey, tell you about how this works, tell you about how you can get some help. Tom Paladino. Benny, we'll be right back.
All clear. Ready to come back? All right.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. So great to have all of you tune us in and turn us on. I think a bunch of you may have heard us talking during the break, which is good because Tom and I are going to talk later and he's going to set up a program for me because along the way, you know, you discover things. And I was telling him, I got these 2 great knees. Oh my God, they're like super great. I can't even believe it. But along the way, you may decide to take a medication and not know enough about that medication and not understand the side effects. And that's what happened to me. You know, this is a medication that is so essential for a lot of people, so they say. It really, for me, had a different effect. So I need to sit with Tom and say which one of the programs work and get started on it. Here's why. Because when you go through and read the testimonials on this, and this we've known for a long time, we've known about the work. When we are in this world, Einstein said, cannot solve the problem at the level that problem was created. So we're trying to solve it at our daily doing, and we are not solving it at a spiritual level. We're not solving it at an energy level. But Tom, before the break, here's what I said. Can a crisis counselor benefit? I'm going to read this and then you take it away. I was amazed at my stamina and emotional endurance. I'm reading it. This is like for real. I serve as a crisis counselor. The hardest that face at times in people's lives is many times beyond comprehension. And while my heart is to serve and assist such people to reach a place of wholeness and solid standing in their lives, it can be severely taxing and draining severely. And they go on to say in the past 2 weeks, colleagues needed 2 weeks off and I worked double time. Yes, so many of you are doing this, double time to cover her appointments in addition to her work. The amazing technology of Scalar Light that God has given us was perfectly timed with these intense 2 weeks. I was amazed at my stamina and emotional endurance throughout the entire time, as if I was having, ready? No appointments. You can't make that stuff up.
That's the beginning body of evidence that we have. You know, this is a new science. The best I can do are testimonies from people. Yeah. And why do I say that? Well, there is no scalar energy science. It's just not taught by academia. So the testimonies resonate with everybody. and to answer your question, to your point, yes, scalar energy is for every person, animal, or plant, because everybody can benefit. This is the fundamental energy, the prime mover of the universe. In some fashion, every person, animal, and plant will benefit from these scalar light sessions.
And I love what people say, and it's over and over and over again. It says, I was on the 15-day trial and day 10 convinced me to subscribe for a year. See, that's how you know, Tom, that, you know, people are getting a solution, yes, right, to what they're asking for. Yes. They're getting something that they've not been able to get elsewhere. Tell me your vision, Tom Paladino's vision now. I want to know the vision because you've already done so much. But we've just got to do more. That's the answer I get in my meditation when I say, God, tell me what's mine to do today. God says more.
Okay, that's a good point. Let me underscore this. When I work with people, I work with people by way of their photograph. This is my photograph, and I literally place their photograph inside an instrument. Now, where are we going with this? Well, the instrument can work with one photograph, or the instrument can work with thousands, tens of thousands of photographs. Wow. So where am I going with this? I want to work with everybody in the world by way of their photograph. I'd like eventually 7.9 billion people to send me their photograph, and I'll send quantum healing by way of their photograph. What do I envision? A global healing ministry. Nothing short of that. A global healing ministry. Is it tenable? Yes. Nothing can stop a photograph. Yes, that's what I want to do.
I just took my photograph to send you. I have been doing this a long time. almost 2 decades now in the world of positive talk. I've been laughed at. I've been joked about. I've been called Pollyanna Patty. It doesn't matter. There are those things. But I am relentless when it comes to what I believe about energy, positive messaging. Somehow, we have got to get people help. That's why I think you're talking to me. That's why I'm talking with you. Right. We hear it from the people that call into the show, Tom. You know, we hear what they've gone through. You know, in this time, you know, caller calls in and says, I was just beaten outside of my door physically. My husband threw me down a flight of stairs. You know, my child is addicted to multiple drugs. This is, for many people, this is a lifeline, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. And this hopefully will be the out-of-the-box thinking that we need moving forward. You know, I give the men and women of science great credit, but there are shortcomings, and we've seen those shortcomings during the pandemic. So I, for one, believe that scalar energy is a technology that will eventually and hopefully soon be embraced by mankind. You know, progress always moves forward. And I believe scalar energy, this progress will help people. And that's the whole point. That's why I developed the website. This is why I've developed my career. Scalar energy is, again, sunlight or starlight. So it's for everybody. It's non-invasive, it's non-physical, there's no chemical reaction, it's quantum healing energy.
And isn't that really quantum healing, quantum biology, human performance? I mean, these once upon a time would show up in a science fiction movie, but they're not anymore. You know, there are empirical studies now being issued about everything from well-being to wellness to ideas of energy movement transmutation, you know, mind movement into manifestation. I mean, this is studied. This is empirical journal stuff that people are doing. They're writing and studying stress. Because why? Because in the world we live in, people want to see the science of it, the results. In the world that you and I are talking about, we know, we see, because the result is we're alive, we're thriving, and we're well. And this, to me, is the most important part of the conversation today. Your explanation of it is important for people that have to know how. I need to know how you're doing it. I need to know what it's about. Right. I was going to ask you, how many skeptics have you talked to in the past 10 years? But I know that because I was one of those.
And you know, that's okay, Dr. Pat. If people are skeptical, that's okay. And this is why I give away free trials, because the proof is in the pudding. And again, I'm all about results. And many people, they try the free trial and they say, Tom, I don't understand the science. It's a new and emerging science, but I feel better. And then they're convinced. So I'm okay with that. You have to convince people. I have to prove it, and I want to prove it.
What would you say in the journey? And I don't know if you can share this information, but I'm hoping you could share a story about it. You have had to see some amazing healing, just like the story you told earlier. And your testimonies really say it.
Yep. We do a lot of charity work around the world. I've been working for the past 2-3 years with an HIV/AIDS clinic in Delhi, India. Now, I've never been to India. So people from India send me their photograph. And after we work with those people in Delhi, India, they'll have a follow-up test for HIV. All of those test results have come back negative. Everybody that I've worked with at this HIV clinic is now HIV negative, no detectable viral load. So this is the beginning body of evidence that we have, in this case from a clinic in Delhi, India. Now, that I'm elated. You know, across the board, everybody that has taken a test is telling me that they feel better, they're gaining weight, and that they're HIV negative, no detectable viral load. That is the beginning evidence as to some type of benefit from this quantum healing. Again, this cannot be proven at the university level. Nobody's really defined scalar energy. That nobody can quite grasp what the laws, what the principles that undergird this energy. So again, I'm at the forefront of this movement, and I can only prove my worth by the testimonies, how people feel.
Yeah. And believe me, I know I'm one of those people that lived on the East Coast when the mayor of New York City refused to even look at AIDS as a thing. And I know firsthand what that experience is like. And United States not the only place with this. So the work that you did in the demonstrations are super important because they work.
Yeah, you're right.
They work. That's really what we're talking about here today, right? We're talking about what this is that worked, what researchers and physicists of the past used. And let's just make a footnote here if we could, right? So we don't think researchers, physicists, we're like, oh no, they didn't use scalar energy, but that's not true, Tom, right?
You're right. If you look at scalar energy in a broader context, it's your thinking. Thinking is a function of scalar energy. Emotions are scalar energy. So I want to make this very palatable and very common, and it is. If this is sunlight or starlight, it's everywhere. So our soma, our mind, and our soul are all, if you will, enveloped with this scalar energy. This is not esoteric. It should not be, at least. Scalar energy is everywhere. I believe human thought is only possible because of scalar energy. In other words, cognitive thinking, creativity is a function of scalar energy.
I want to ask you this. Let's just talk about the free trial, because I mentioned this like a couple of times, but I never really did tell people what it is. Because, you know, whenever someone has the results that you have and offers a free trial, what it really speaks to is the efficacy, meaning the results that you get. Tell us about what you've created for this, because it's not just this is a 15-day free trial, right, Tom? Did I get that right?
So everybody in the world is entitled to 15 days of free sessions, and I mean that quite literally. And every day I receive thousands of photographs from around the world, people who want to test this, and they should. This is a new technology. And over the course of 15 days, we will, if you will, disassemble or eradicate microbes, viruses, bacteria. We have the ability to balance the brain waves and the chakras. And the other standardized session, we have the ability to create nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids. We do all of that through the quantum realm by way of your photograph. All you have to do is email us your photograph. We work through the quantum energy captured on your photograph. So this is a non-physical transmission of intelligence. I'm sending you scalar energy intelligence. And if you will, that the way we access that intelligence is through your photograph, because your photograph carries your information. Everybody's photograph is unique. So that 15-day trial will avail you to those three sessions, the microbe cleanse, the chakra balancing, and the nutrient therapy. We practice those three modalities on a daily basis. And the upshot is the greater majority of people feel better after 15 days. Again, you don't have to do a thing. You just simply email us your photograph.
And what I love about it, they can go to the website. I just want to make sure everybody goes to the website, because the free trial is right there and there's instructions on exactly what to do. You know, the other thing I was also reading about was this is for people, but it's also for pets. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah. And that's a great point, Dr. Pat. Your dog and your cat does not know that you just took their photograph and you've submitted them to a scalar energy session. Now, most animals, pets, they respond, and quite favorably. Now, that should be an indication that there's something here, that something's working. Okay. So for instance, I have a St. Bernard, and I've always worked with my St. Bernard. My St. Bernard does not have germs, microbes. My St. Bernard has always been healthy. My St. Bernard doesn't even have bad breath, because every day I'm eradicating the bacteria and the parasites from his body. So does this work? Yes. Photographs of people, animals, and plants, they always respond.
And, one of the things that people may be thinking, oh, I'm not sure it's going to work for me, ... But I want to say to you, if you go through and you look at the testimonials, you'll see a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life that are going through this. And, and Tom, this is really important to talk about, because we are talking about scalar energy, because we are talking about, the power of this form of healing. And this is documented way, way back, ancient, way, way back. This is not something that says I can take care of this and not this, because energy doesn't know the difference, right? I mean, energy is not shackled by the way our minds. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, that's the whole point of working with energy. It's fundamental. It's the very cause of intelligence. In other words, scalar intelligence carries the intelligence of the universe. So many times when I'm working with my instruments, and I want to make this very clear, it's not human intelligence. It's not my intelligence. It's divine intelligence. And that's why it works. We're working with this fundament of the universe. Energy, intelligence, light, that's the fundament of the universe.
I was blown away by what I read in so many of these, but I was especially blown away by the testimonials that I read about Lyme disease. And if you go to the website Scalar Light, SCALAR light.com, and go to the testimonials, you can even search. You can search for maybe something you think is bothering you, and you'll see. But when you hear people talk about pain, right? Talk about no energy, talk about ... You can fill in the blank. And then you read the testimonials, right? With somebody that has been suffering for so long. And this is a testimonial that came in by Christina on January 24th, 2020. Detailed testimonial, right? Detailed of what happens. People saying, I could not even walk to my mailbox, and I am walking to my mailbox a quarter of a mile now. I am feeling motivated now, right? I'm getting a lot accomplished now. And that's after they described that they haven't been able to sleep for years. Do you see what I'm trying to say? That's why I'm like you, I'm results oriented. And when we start to look at some of the results people are getting, these are people saying, this is what I experienced through this. And that has got to blow people away. I mean, I know you see it every day, but for people listening to this show, they have to go in here and look at this themselves, because what they'll find their story here. I bet they will find their story here somewhere.
And that's a good point. And again, once again, to emphasize, this is new. I believe I'm the only one in the world with this type of instrument. Oh, yeah. And hence my results are unique. Okay, so with that in mind, I have nothing to compare this to. I am at the vanguard of this movement. So what should I do to get this out there? Give away free sessions, and then rely upon people sharing their testimony. There is no body of evidence for this new science. We're at the cutting edge of this new science. So to speak to your point, the testimonies are crucial, and word of mouth. You're not going to find this in any university. It's not taught by academia.
It's not. And what I love about this, Tom, is that you put the whole testimonial up on the site. And a lot of times you'll go to a site and people will just put like a quote or a clip. But I'm reading some of these, and people are very clear at the history of where they were, right? They also talk about how they're feeling, how they're waking up and how they're feeling, right? And what to do, the instructions of how to administer the treatment, on how to go about it, right? And you hear things like and this is for all you out there that are listening to the show for a thing, this is directly from the website, right? After the first treatment, I turned a corner in my recovery. Within a couple of weeks, I was getting my energy back. I mean, over and over and over and over again.
Yes, yes. So notwithstanding the fact that, again, this is a new science, we have to rely upon people's testimony.
We do.
Okay? There is no college textbook. So the testimonies, and as this flourishes and as a greater number of people try this, I'll post, if you will, 10,000 or 20,000 testimonies. That is the body of evidence that we have to go on right now. Thank you.
I know we're going to run out of time, but I got to just leave with this one testimonial, if you don't mind, because it's short, but it's sweet. And it was posted November 6th of 2018 by Holly. And you can go to the website and you can look at all these. And I'm going to read the direct quote. I was just recently retested for the Epstein-Barr virus, as well as HHV-6 virus. Both viruses were very high and were reactivated as a byproduct of Lyme disease. Both PCR tests just came back negative, showing no presence of the virus whatsoever. Thank you, God. Thank you, Tom. That's why you have to post these.
Right. The proof's in the pudding. Yeah. Thank you.
Tom, I want to thank you for all that you do. I want to thank you for not giving up and keep doing it. Yeah. Please, again, tell folks how they can get involved, how they can get help. And I'd love to know your personal message for today.
Yeah, it's a grassroots movement, scalarlight.com. Visit the website, do your homework, and then if you're inclined, send in your photographs. You're going to email us your photographs. By the way, you can email us your 5, 6, 7 photographs of your family members and include your pets. And I'm going to try and inculcate this message. Scalar energy is not novel. Everybody possesses scalar energy. The human mind and the human heart broadcasts scalar energy. So think well and be of good heart, of good cheer, because you are broadcasting, you are emanating scalar energy. That is the message to the audience today.
Tom Paladino, everyone. I'm Dr. Pat. Please go to the website. You'll see it right there. It is a 15-day free trial. But do like what I did when I first heard of this. Go look and read the testimonials. Take a look at everything on here. Take a look at people just right in there telling you that they're sleeping after years of not sleeping. Decide this for yourself, but also pass it forward, pay it forward. Tell somebody you know that's in pain, maybe in suffering, maybe that's addicted. Just send them here. Just send them here, because Tom's generosity is by far one of the greatest blessings we could have to help each other heal. Tom Paladino, thank you, Tom, so much.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. Thank you.
Let's take a short break, everybody. We'll be right back.
All clear.